Hello, online world. There are three natures of time. This video is about the three natures of time. The three invisible semi-natures as one nature that is also with two other semi-natures. Now, in short, to see this as science, we have the active present with there is the history we know for certain was true and not denying any exceptions because that's not always the case. And I mean, greatly, it's still not the case. We have criminally foreign influence sciences. But then there's also the extent of history we do not know, and we know that we do not know it. So there's the active present, the extent we know, and the extent we know as three natures of one nature, not by accident. So then, if we look into the future, there's the active we know and don't know now. These three natures are bonded. We look ahead. There's the nature we could anticipate, and the nature we can't. And this is with and as a nature as a value progression system that our tactical ulterior from market positions know, not by accident, never having allowed this realized to what is practicality left by our fathers to them, our founding fathers to demonstrate, having not been freed. We don't have free speech. We have the media not even letting the president a quality of fact treatment nature. It is criminal to pretend to be about wanting and keeping and needing to keep your correspondence of a certain tone because that's what people like, they say. In other words, what people liked in colonization in relationship to Jim Crow laws, that was our subject. That's the nature we have as reality. See, we have a quality of fact treatment nature forced. Crime methods, criminally pretending they believe the integrity of professionals that they know is not real with their own. So they're forcing everyone to speak through the people tied to them per an acting method against each integrity. It's each nature of integrity of the quality of our fact treatment nature, which is all now industries, value nature systems, and convictions. Even valuing how sick the world is, because everyone needs to just focus as they're conditioned to on money, value nature system. Forget reality. What is true always, not denying any exceptions. And see, now this value nature system is so needed by too many. And see, with the concept of education used by pseudo positive as criminal insidiousness nature, which is an organized crime term. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police form, I'm not a criminal. This is what American history is about, what modern nations are about. How our founders and how their founders didn't have free speech because semi-ancient times everyone was conformed already to what if you defend that you cause negative value nature progressions and you become progressively a standing criminal insidiousness nature, suits and ties that don't understand how to defend themselves is already invested, having blamed other things themselves for the real causes of negative value nature regressions. Same thing with the counters. This is to keep our species nature of volume perpetually exploited the way it is a system naturally. Everyone conformed to live progressions from each database, not by accident, from each identity of the ground, maintained as value in our nature as what causes negative value nature progressions. Leaf of Hadith, lie progressions. Lie progression cover up nature's needs and styles, like pretending to be about patriotism as a breaching screen, not letting the presidents have a quality of fact treatment nature to demonstrate that, and how we have cars, but we still have the fact treatment nature slavery and torture methods that were on against our founding fathers, not just against people with overt laws like that. That was entrenched here by a whole bunch of nations, forced not to talk about it, forced to be faces the same way they are now, not to talk about it. In other words, the face of England here was not England. Wasn't even the kings weren't free, and their relationships for wealth and their time is not free, because these are nations of identities of as each modern nation that can't defend themselves without reliance upon natures of equal roles with identities as negative value nature progressions. Because identity nature can't help but be a semi-nature value progression. See, but now we're one that's no longer positive to finite's quality of diffusion as the value of the order to the finite, the smallest thing, boxing, as the order to the body of value discernment, simultaneously, invisible but still discernible, as English was revealed to teach. Free speech. And as progression's value. So those are three natures of value that are bonded. Because when we know this science real shows when you're valued to the order of the finite, what is to the order to what is active, and the word to what is progressive at the same time, that causes positive value nature progressions. See, we have the sensibilities that is misprision simultaneously pretending to be convictions that they can't pretend on paper, so they just keep the news going real fast, even though the news has crime roles, crime uses of identity of the ground, various natures of courts criminally involved with criminally foreign influence acts, natures, sequence shifts, and uses of databases through administrations. You know, we saw in the news all the reports about Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort Drive is associated with, through time, crimes with identity theft with CCSU and with media, including CNN. And they're forcing this to be personal because they hurt people all the time. And this is their roles with maintained overt criminal enterprises, what originally and still facilitates them the most, uses them, needs them the most, completely for the fact treatment nature racket roles that won't let free speech because of the way we were locked into what that made everyone value a whole bunch of natures of crime bonded. That's a whole bunch of crime methods bonded, natures bonded. That's a whole bunch of people causing and cause to and valuing negative value nature progressions, acts and natures, life progressions, as criminal insidious nature, as fake positive with sensibilities. So we come to the sensibilities of Jane Austen. We have intersciences experts offensively defending integrity by hurting people who are trying to speak calm in defenses of ourselves, because either identity theft acts roles that are maintained that are specifically originally instilled what maintained all states and areas, everyone criminally foreign influenced, delusions wrought, and forced to blame other people, others, and selves, and to value that for the blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Natures like criminal insidious nature, like wrongdoers. See, we have mass wrongdoing. Like the medias are wrongdoers associated with these are organized crime terms because they're crime roles with predicate acts they're not living told on, with extortion methods, with free speech, Constitution breaching screen pretending to be about the sensibilities of their tone. But in other words, and then with all exception, these are crimes against exception nature. See, the way logic really works, these are also physical delusions into science, especially with psychology. They can't defend themselves without stealing people's identities, forging names, switching names as recorded, using child offenders to hurt kids because they need each age to stay misprision, valuing roles, having been roles in the past and coming. Only let realize because they have before they had interbranch families and intercampuses, they're mixed for criminally foreign influence through what is it those other nations hurt by the same thing. This is what originally negotiated with terrorism, worse than terrorism, negotiated as as an engineering of criminal insidious natures, as a propagation of it, in as a method that the devil's law as an organized crime method, recorded. So must be what the devil. This is what science reveals is most logically what the devil is about. A whole bunch of other ways. See, but we also have the sequence nature of the Old Testament, never let voice, and of the Quran. The beginning sequence of the Quran in the Old Testament are not let be value as nature to show what they're about, how nature is value as nature, simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly how it is nature is value. And that is simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly onto to and as the value of the three invisible but so discernible semi-natures of the Trinity. And when we play this out, we see that it has a value/value nature relationship to itself. And we see that we understand, we discern how there are three natures of volume as physics, metaphysics, and as identity nature, which is the affinity, the infinity is identity nature, but as value nature inside values nature. And so we'll examine this with youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. I'll heal you all. Species coach. Species. Listen. All you need to do is follow mandated law. See, there are simple. It's very simple to understand the organized crime method that used overt color, but you have to understand how they had the slavery laws against what everyone could say, how everyone was forced to be a slave role. Distinctly, specifically, so methodically, consciously, willfully, so they could maintain perpetually everyone valuing not even discerning that and how non-distinctly everyone had the same enemy, and how that stays negative value nature progression is not just to, but on and as everyone, which comes to the motivations, natures, and roles. With what? Also, I'm trying to excuse me, help set up. That's gross. Okay, so this is how to blow your nose on YouTube. So that's the three natures of time. Time has three natures because it is by the identity of forever nature, which is even greater than the identity of infinity. And this is where and how a little bit more of forever nature is being made. And this is our value, positive or negative, in relationship to this identity of value, Allah. per science, per science that notes that it is only understood correctly when we understand that how that is the value of each God is gaining, positive or negative, depending on the person's, if they're exploiting exception nature or not. In other words, if they are being, there is a difference between truth and facts, and between what is true in fact as exception nature at the same time. And that's especially critical inside this conversation about the nature of organized crime. And with criminal seriousness, therefore, a standing, inherent, active, and progressive subject, inseparable from every decision and understanding we have together with the Campus Marcius ancient gaming system. It only feels like game because this is how we heal. This is what the Santa Claus is about. Short of this, in other words, this is about the Santa Claus is about the individually valuable. This is also our nations are forced, locked to entertain species nature of volume, only let be negative value nature. What that is putting more and more in positions that are keeping nations negative value nature, self-defended, valued that. Where it has those, where and how and as, where and how those natures of volume of our species nature of volume. This is why we are species. Why are there sexes? In demonstration of how we are an expanding nature of volume. This is why yin yang goes inside the and yin is feminine and yang is masculine. Yin is first, left to right. This is why simultaneously yin is second, left to right. And this is why simultaneously masculine, yang is masculine, right to left first, and left to right first, simultaneously. But in other words, this is how our nature, each little part of it, is a Trinity nature with two other semi-natures. It's like, and this is also like my other videos on the three natures of speed: slow, fast, and instantaneous. When we understand all at once. When we understand things correctly. I mean, you can understand, in other words, revelations come from another nature of science. This even reveals physical means that weren't fathomable before that, how they could even come about. See, this is Earth's simultaneous distinct and non-distinct relationship to Allah's. This Allah is a science term, which is not denying any other God's name. You see, the modern religions had to take counter positions to what criminally denatured, tactically denatured, effectively denatured states, areas, and internation sciences. They effectively made devalued to states and area sciences, therefore devaluing states and area sciences while they kept the value of criminally foreign influenced internation sciences up. And where and how the original species before criminally foreign influenced states and areas and internation sciences and collusion is what we have now. We have trade agreements with the Trade Center tied to Washington, tied to Justice Department, where they have fact treatments and they're lying about areas, about the value of areas in relationship to our in relationship to our zoning laws, in relationship to our American history, in relationship to the sensibilities of people, in relationship to who is good or not. And everybody's good. But see, they're not letting this discern because they're making themselves better by criminally. Because they're just making things up. They haven't been following the law and calling it law just because they did that. See, this is reality at the end of a whip in an organized crime method, which is distinct from reality. See, every semi-nature is only value as its complete nature, relationship to itself as an identity, a value progression perfect, as the course of why and how the nature of positive is beyond our control, as what we want: water, clean air, beautiful environment, a nature of relationship to nature that reveals what the Santa Claus is about, how we are an expanding nature of volume in relationship to this identity of value progression. Perfect. Prayer, or besides what it is, through counters to this that didn't have control of the campuses and or nor but like presidents, control that is contained, free speech not let, enforced pretended other, because we have states and areas effectively maintained originally and still breaching influenced, breaching screens, breaching tools, breaching weapons, justifications of it in relationships to the negative value nature progressions of this caused by everyone only let realized victims told to value, invested valuing value nature systems that were criminally informed and influenced originally still. And methodically. In other words, we're not just divided, this effectively is stealing our American history in our face insidiously, pretending not to realize, pretending they're about that it's too hard to explain American history. In other words, while they're at the same time knowing that those positions are only roles hurting whole areas, making people feel like people are prejudiced against them because of formal predators, and these are as the ones pretending they're against that and pretending other people are prejudiced as means to keep entertained natures of quality of fact treatment nature run by sensibilities that are not science. They're only science because of the phenomena of all that uncharged originally and still in relationship to organized crime. The only thing that's complicated about this are the sanctions, are the math in relationship to how everyone's a victim predator. Though forgiveness is for this to permit a quality of fact treatment nature capable of countering the juxtaposed natures of criminal insidiousness, natures of crime that were originally and still used per a method that is completely fact treatment nature, federal crime sequence shifts, and other natures of things methodically tied to the behavior of each age of fact treatment nature, the sensibilities of each age of fact treatment nature, of each treatment of values like what men are value as, what women are value as, what children are value as, boys and girls, what sequence is value as. Sequence is value as because of the simultaneous nature it contains, which is forever nature. Only the extent of this is debatable. So we have an organized crime fact treatment nature racket that was sophistication here before our peak. Agencies, directors, sophistication, and these are legal minds with more integrity than not real integrity. We'll examine the FBI directors like Director Luskin, former director of the FBI, Robert Mueller, and Comey, involved with election crimes, crimes with the transition from Alca to Rico, crimes with body dumping spot with the Fianza family with Dillon family involved with fake news, crime acts, identity thefts, uses of child defenders to hide their life progressions tied to that. Because there's, in other words, we have the intelligence community used to further crimes with the same nations that that torture each other because everyone was engineered, only capable of blaming what really is causing the negative value nature progressions. Acts of nature is blamed on other things, others themselves. Acts like predicate acts, also a organized crime term. Crimes, see, we have other motivations and needs by motivation roles and uses of overt criminal enterprises that are realized. Criminal enterprises are organized crime groups. See, now we see them with by the names and the themes because these are victims of intercampuses organized crime that has nothing, in other words, victims with reactions invested, only capable of staying roles with what keeps as a crime tool per the natures of crime of our directors with states and areas again originally and still with bonded natures of crime. That's bonded natures of liars that are pretending other offensively as suits and tied nations, states and areas, interbranch, intercampuses. This is from off the ground of education, then on off the ground of education, only that realized all not now all blaming how it came together in chaos on other things, others themselves. They the whole time not realizing everyone was being invested, valuing such fact treatment natures, such conviction natures. So, quality of fact treatment, premise treatment, sick, and pretending other, untrue. Quality of sequence treatment nature, untrue. Worse than forbidding of the revelations to that. This is identity theft, too simple to not be able to have had explained all this time by our organized crime counting bodies because of their collusion, criminal, because of their criminal foreign influences, because of their physical delusions, all as victims, but as victim predators. And that's where and how. See, we need free speech. This is effectively maintaining each nation's treatments of power and of might, you know, as tools when they need to keep everyone from, identity thefts move along as the sickest people, incapable, incompetent with mental competency. We have very sick psychology. How many? This is too many people tied to it, and this is in a method using each age of each individual group slash sexes and age of campus on off them interfamilies maintained effectively criminally forward influence victim predators effectively valuing made to value because of time and positions and nature and method of torture and of identity thefts missed need to value the identity of correlation nature from which contains everyone's value from the past and now as it is gaining. In other words, needed to maintain people with naive, dishonest takes on the past, with sequence shift roles, with identity theft crime roles, valuing fake sides of correlation nature's invisible but still discernible identity as a trinity nature, and as a trinity's nature, positive or negative relationship to a complete natures. Only let realize complete nature of relationship to itself as a perfect value progression. The volume of existence slash space doesn't leak. It only fills. What bonded matter in the first place was already an identity of value before that and is gaining through that. So this Trinity coming through, and as the value of Earth has a semi nature before it and after it, because the value is gaining while we are gaining, and then it goes into. See, this is discernible through science, but we have each science offensively invested to the defensive qualities of fact-driven nature that require convictions and defenses of sensibilities offensively, because no one knows how to speak now. If you're raised to be working, and we're invested into value nature systems. Pension plans, healthcare plans, things measured, but what is measurable is maintained criminally foreign influence, and that already having been valued. So they can't defend what they're only capable of being trained. In other words, everyone's has no means to business but through how they're trained through campuses. But these campuses are criminally re-engineered campus marcias. Criminally re-engineered campus marcias that was revealed by our species' nature of volume working as one. That's why not by accident yin yang is drawn with alpha right to left, and alpha and omegas alpha left to right. And now, so the etymology of English was engineered to fit all roles, valuing those roles as criminal and seditious nature. What really revealed English were the 26 sounds manifest, and their identity of relationship to themselves manifest, and the value of that, which is in demonstration of exception nature, which it is in demonstration that and how other languages and other gods, all the names of gods are value at once. To understand that, what we're all trying to understand is this identity as a relationship to itself, not as a name, not but as a unceasing equation about our three natures of value, and about the identity of their bond that will only stay a complete nature, gaining value through how it is two natures of semi-nature, as three bonded semi-natures as one, and as five bonded semi-natures as one, and as the value of that. It's the heartbeat of Allah. This is the Jewish, means juxtaposed. This is because the religions already lost control of human fact-keeping nature, already invested before modern religions, already invested the defenses of sensibilities that were maintained as breaching screens and tools for what nations A through Z and people A through Z of the entire species, tribes A through Z, colonists A through Z, everyone missed. It's a method that had everyone consciously, methodically engineered blaming other things and others and selves for the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, and needs to react, obligations to react. See, when President Trump is people say reactions, because they're talking about how what jobs need, as jobs forced reliant upon types of experts don't think. They built them consciously as misprision. In other words, they're insulating, they're investing networks to offensive identity theft crime acts, extortion crime method roles. Then they're pretending, oh, how come you didn't look for a job though? They're preventing people from going into industries. They're keeping each nature of industry criminally foreign influence. You have to value an abridged constitution with convictions and with the roles where and how our fact sheet nature is valued together inseparably. Where the value transfer is either you're gonna, is value. Not the transfer itself is only negative value if you don't see and understand the value of it. Because only the way this sequence, this simultaneous nature could stay a complete nature is how it stays that while it is coming through a nature that it can't come through any other way. We are valued as a simultaneous nature, not just as man and woman manifest, not just as kids and parents, but as that nature showing us this and showing us a little bit before and after that. We are valued for a reason. This is showing us its nature. So from this active phase, you know, we're like right between two as its nature of volume gaining our identities and as a positive or negative relationship to it. And what is only that when it is positive to individuals, groups slash sexes, and all together at once, which is the nature of prayer that is science using science, contemplation, it's a quality of fact sheet nature that is being prohibited offensively. See, but when you prohibit, you make this more. They making it complicated. I've been asking to report crime acts, interbranch online, in cases, forging names, switching names with state's attorneys, faking evidences with police forms, interbranch, intercity, on and off campuses, crime acts roles, identity theft crime acts roles, fake arresting officers, crime acts and cases, criminal uses of databases of various natures of courts, of their family members, of their roles with fake news, crime acts at the same time, attaching me to fake conversations with them that weren't at all, sequence shifting, attaching my family members to sequence shifts, fake natures of relationships to others. There are crime acts roles with federal criminals proven that had crimes with kids when I was a kid. And but these are people that are defendants of a former director of the FBI in a 2006 case that was also tied to the motivations of people with untimely deaths that are tied. Crime acts on and off the campuses, Trinity College and CCSU, tied to the grammar schools and the middle schools and the high schools, further involved with the crimes with the intercampuses, also interstates and worse, maintained this way. DACA was, there was a DACA, I don't know if it's the same as the marketing programs and things like that with the kids. Involved also with police forms of identity theft, database crimes, sequence shifting, crime methods that uses people walking up and making a statement, then they pretend they know you. And all exceptions are methodically criminally exploited. This is not hard. See, when the fake news won't speak with me because the judges in the courts are recorded and confessed having tortured my family members. If you say oh, if you have them in other words, the courts are with crimes with the areas. The various natures of courts or crimes with the same houses in my area. How many people are associated with retired and standing police chiefs? See, these are people that are in systems that are used criminally foreign influence. Originally, still St. Nicholas is about this too. In other words, the identities of the law and of the churches and of religious platforms are together defending sensibilities that are maintained victims. But as victim predators, you can't defend that, their takes on positive, their convictions, when equality of free speech is trying to report everyone a liar. This needs only let realized natures of jobs and of wealth that are criminally foreign influenced, that are leveraged against any nature of integrity. Like that boxing was his most capable of a lot of ways, more than any other, profession. See, but they're not letting free speech. They're not letting. So everyone has talent because we have this nature that is shared. Want and need for us to liberate what is individual, grouped together. But to do that, you have to liberate in sequence first. So when our species or when a person is valued, they are to the individual first. They are to themselves. Then to not but and also simultaneously to what is group slash sexes, and also simultaneously to what is the species volume, positive to it. When we are not that to ourselves, then we are valued to the what is overall species volume first in sequence, then to sexes value second, and then to individual value third. The only reason we are with so many left in positions on women and on men simultaneously, sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly, and simultaneously, I forgot what I was. So this is pretty long. So this is about the three natures. That was it. This is about the three natures of time. This is about the Trinity's value slash value nature relationship to itself, from our perspective. From its perspective, is about the Trinity as values. Values is about values natures value slash nature relationship to itself. And that slash is invisible but is indiscernible, the identity of Allah, but only as a when in a nature of correlation, nature per science, not denying the Quran. Before the Quran was revealed, English was revealed before sciences were criminally foreign influence, incapable of defending themselves and not orchestrating a fake etymology foundation of English, then to be effectively have been state value. The really revealed English was our species, nature, of volume working together before criminal foreign influences, using this science, this identity of what causes evolution, what is the value of the order to the finite, the value that is inseparable from and as what causes our quality of fact should be nature to be positive or negative, as the body that is connected to between that and that, and as the value of our progression simultaneously. See, we have streams going in and out of cities every day, but they don't move. They just, what's going to happen? Nature's going to go down. What do? They lay them on the people littering. Oh my God. You see what I'm saying? They don't even have a, you can put a trash in the woods too. Right? We're going to have to fix our nature of relationship to nature, each modern nation simultaneously. We're going to have to agree and enable means to do this. And that process just reveals means that we never saw coming. We have recorded criminally foreign influence value nature means to afford everything. We have to have the news. Not so you guys are being criminally influenced through your sources interbranch and through your lawyers used criminally originally and still part of their types of law and defenses of sensibilities with this. This is a sensibilities trap because we're going to deal with Jane Austen. We're going to deal with Harry Beecher Stowe and Mark Twain with our campus. You say, well, this campus is going to own. The ancient gaming system is going to make Campus Marcy is going to make people own what they're going to work on. Because we're going to take over our education because it's criminally foreign influence. Too long. Boxing is strong, but we just need more than might. Together, train, and win this fight. So we don't need everyone to agree. We just need one person to agree, and that's it. Then it can't stop. Everyone else agrees. Because no one could, no one has faith. Everyone's listening to sensibilities with opinions. They're not letting crime acts demonstrate with correlation as correlation nature simultaneously inherent active and progressive means. States and areas already were valuing how they were pretending they had the right to lie, the right to be criminal to say it's nature ways they own. They have crime methods and cases, criminal uses of the standing positions of each branch of their family members already originally and still as facilitated as victims, but facilitated to it. But how facilitated to it as victim predators in relationship to people who need their naive treatments of us and of fact treatments in databases, treatments of our value as nature, of the value of our areas, led demonstrated them sickly offensively against it and sickly pretending to be for such at the same time, misprision, and then keeping, all only let realized theater positives, natures of everything. See, change when we're emitting this quality of fact. In other words, this value nature system, the one that is true always, not denying as exception nature. Now this makes different. This has us using what is nature, because what is true always as exception nature is a Trinity nature, and it's a Trinity's nature of relationship to itself, as value that is positive or negative in relationship to itself. That's how we know it. This is the identity that inventions work or not in relationship to. This is the identity that has inventions further positive or negative, not in relationship to itself. Allah is a term of science. There's a quality of fact treatment nature that is required that states and areas, even of Muslim nations, they're preventing because they're in collusion with also as with nations that are preventing discernment of the value of the beginning of the Old Testament, and they're viciously sickly and with delusions and as fake positive natures, with the same herd convictions, like, oh, what's it have to do with science about Adam and Eve and stuff like that? Why does Eve have to be the one to take the thing? This is about how we are simultaneously valuable. This is about how we're forsaken value. This is about an organized crime conversation, a nature of organized crime that a method that facilitated to all to roles with tactically devalued, originally revealed by nature when we were before criminal enterprises, quality of fact treatment nature, using the identity that causes positive value nature progressions as evolution, using what is the ground in our value as nature and our value as nature of progression simultaneously. Not much hurt is to all the see, we have to embrace, especially with healthcare. That's what demonstrably, probably more than he realizes it, is this demonstrable that that's why President Obama was so sure and right about us needing to do something about healthcare, because healthcare was left with every other science criminally foreign influenced in value nature systems that were already are leveraged as a quality of fact human nature, you know, that is valuing other styles of liars as fake sides of correlation nature, as fake middles, as physical delusions enter science originally and still, with treatments of black and white. Methodically, not by accident, all victims, but victim predator, preventing how black and white are inseparable from each other, from the value that is an identity that is the value of both at the same time gaining. That's how it shows itself. Doesn't drip, doesn't leak. This value has nature, and nature has value simultaneously. It only gains. That's what our value is. And it is, again, a quality of diffusion, not just positive or negative, but that's what makes it positive or negative. If we are positive to the three natures of volume at once or not. This is what Jesus Christ is about. Alpha value, which is positive or negative. He's saying we are temporary positive no matter what. Criminal insidious nature is temporary positive. But to be positive as a quality of diffusion, as a forever nature, as our soul, which is also positive unto itself, this is as a quality of diffusion, not just through our body, it's diffusing through itself as before and as the value of the finite. That diffusion through itself is smaller than small, while it is bigger than bigger. Won't fit in temporary space nature, but one way. It's but through its complete nature of relationship to itself, as a little bit more of itself comes into here at the same time. In the heartbeat of so the magnitude of space in Earth has a simultaneously distinct and non-distinct relationship to one identity of value, like our identity of our bodies. Each body has an identity that is simultaneously distinct and non-distinct. Sequence nature to all other sequence nature's identities of its body, of each body. Each complete identity is a semi-nature in relationship to our complete identity. Because everything is in demonstration of this complete identity that will only stay complete and how. There is. I'll stand from bow. Fake branches won't. Don't disbelieve, no, don't. So this is again, this is about the three natures of time. The active, and then it is the active is a value simultaneously. In the past that we know is value. In the past that we know that we don't know or not is another nature of and has the same value. And see, not just as reality. Because when we come down to this science is about how what this organized crime method was making force everyone to say reality was. The whip that we counter.